Technology and Livelihood Education, Food Processing, Exploratory Course for Grade 7 and 8, Module 9, based on most essential learning competencies. Our topic is implement food safety practices and conduct work in accordance with environmental policies. Our topic is participate in improving environmental practices at work. We encounter different environmental issues such as fires, floods, pollution, and many more. It could be natural distractions or man-made, caused by chemicals spilled, deforestations, or even overfishing. In the midst of these distractions, helping one another is a must. This is the best remedy or step that we could do to overcome it. There are emergencies that really requires bayanihan. Planning ways in managing and handling natural resources need participation that is beneficial in our community and in ourselves. It shows also our sense of belongingness. Before we start off the lesson, can you identify the different environmental hazards that's shown in the picture? Environmental hazards are the state of events which has the potentials to threaten the surroundings, natural environment, and affect people's health. The first environmental hazard is the floods. Flood is defined as a rise, usually brief, in the water level in a stream to a peak from which the water level recedes to a slower rate. Safety precautions before the flood. Number 1, ensure that you understand the dangers of flood properly. Number 2, know the flood history of your area. Number 3, make a mental note of the nearest high ground to your place. Number 4, understand the warning message, the impacts of major, moderate, or minor flooding to your area, and which areas are vulnerable to the different degrees of flood. Number 5, in times of bad weather, always listen to official warnings issued by the local authorities. Number 6, prepare a flood emergency kit. Number 7, prepare and discuss with other members of the community the details of local hazard map. Number 8, indicate the flood path and the sequences of flooding in the area. Number 9, evacuation plan should be made in advance. Each member of the family must be given a specific role and responsibility in case of evacuation. Number 10, if your community has boats, make sure they are well maintained and properly tied up to the tree or other permanent objects. Emergency workers may assist people in flooded areas. You may be able to help them. Number 11, try to avoid walking through the flooded area. Flooding may have caused familiar places to change since floodwaters often erode roads and walkways. Flood debris may hide animals and broken bottles and sharp steel ends. Number 12, if you must walk through the flood area, stay on firm ground. Standing water may be electrically charged from underground or downed power lines. Check them. Number 13, do not touch any damp electrical sockets or turn on the electricity if the house had been flooded until it has been checked and dried up for some time. What to do after the flood? Number 1, inform your neighbors that you are returning home and obtain advice before making a decision. Number 2, roads may still be closed because they have been damaged or still covered by water. If you happen to come across such road with stop signs, please avoid these roads and find another way. Number 13, keep listening to the radio for news. Additional flooding or flash flood may occur. Returning to normal life after the flood. Floods can cause emotional and physical stress. You need to look after yourselves and your family during the transition period. It may take some time to get a house back into its original condition. There are ways that can help you and your family return to normal life. Number 1, before entering the house, get advice from skilled persons about the supply of electricity, water, gas, and others. Get their advice on the necessary repairs and do not enter the house if you cannot get any advice. Number 2, rest and eat well before starting cleaning up operation. Make sure that there is no more threat of occurrence of flash floods. Another environmental hazard is the fire. Fire is frequently referred to as rapid oxidation with the evolution of light and heat. It is the result of chemical combination of materials with oxygen in the presence of enough heat. Fire is an unpredictable hazard and disaster. Classes of fire. Class A. It is a freely burning fire in ordinary combustible materials such as wood, cloth, paper, and others. Class B. It is caused by flammable liquids such as oils, spirits, and petroleum products. Class C. The fire involves energized electrical equipment. Class D. This is a metal fire, magnesium or titanium. Class E. This is a nuclear fire. And Class K, this is a kitchen fire. The elements of fire and the fire triangle. The fire triangle composed of oxygen sources, the heat sources, and its physical state. What is PD 1185? PD 1185 is the Fire Code of the Philippines containing these salient provisions. Whereas death and injury to persons and loss damage to property by fire have reached alarming proportion that the economic and social gains of the society are being continually undermined. Whereas in order to effect meaningful reduction of the alarming fire losses, there is a need to develop national consciousness and involve all persons in the prevention and suppression of fires. Whereas fire prevention and suppression require adoption of uniform fire safety standards, the incorporation of fire safety. Whereas there is an urgent need for an agency primarily responsible for the implementation and coordination of the activities of all sectors of society on fire safety, prevention, and suppression. Whereas in order to effectively implement all efforts to minimize the occurrences of fires and their destructive effects, full financial equipment and personal support by the government and the private sector is necessary. Heat and radiation. Heat generates thermal energy and may travel in any direction that will affect clusters of houses. Fire, heat, and smoke. Extinguishing this kind of fire is usually misunderstood when firefighters douse of water on the unburned houses. Phases of fire. In enclosed area, incipient, fire burning, then smoldering. In open area, incipient, smoke stage, flame stage, then heat stage. Another environmental hazard is the chemical spill. Hazard of laboratory work. One of the hazards of laboratory work is chemical spill. It becomes hazardous when employees come in contact with poisonous or dangerous chemicals. Preparedness and mitigation for chemical spills. Number 1, take precaution when handling chemicals. 2, educate students on proper handling of chemicals. 3, keep safe storage of chemicals. 4, dispose chemicals properly. 5, use gloves and masks when handling chemicals. 6, close drawers of storage cabinet. 7, maintain stable environment. 8, strengthen laboratory capabilities. And number 9, provide fire extinguishers. Response to chemical spills. What to do during chemical spills? First, vacate the room. Then avoid throwing water or touching the chemicals with bare hands. 3. Inform proper authorities. 4. Cover nose with wet cloth, then transfer casualty to a safer place. 5. Give milk and starch for ingested chemical. And 6. Ensure adequate air circulation around the victim. Another environmental hazard is the electrical blackout. Electrical blackout is an interruption of normal source of electrical power. Preparedness and mitigation. Number 1, hang the flashlight. Number 2, prepare ready a gas, lamp, or a candle. What to do during electrical blackout? Number 1, unplug all electrical appliances. Number 2, stay put in one place to avoid accidents. Rehabilitation phase. Number 1, check electrical outlets and switches. Number 2, avoid electrical wiring hanging near trees. Number 3, hang the flashlight. And number 4, prepare ready a gas, lamp, or a candle. Another environmental hazards is the food poisoning. It is a combination of food with biological contaminants such as bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites. Chemical contaminants can take the form of agricultural chemicals like pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, and environmental pollutants like mercury or lead, veterinary products like antibiotics or growth enhancers, and different additives like food coloring. Preparedness and mitigation for food poisoning. Number 1, discourage children's patronage of processed food. Number 2, wash raw food thoroughly. 3, cook food properly. Number 4, eat cooked food immediately. And number 5, store cooked food properly. Number 6, avoid contact between raw and cooked food. Number 7, wash your hands as often as possible. Number 8, keep all kitchen surfaces meticulously clean. Number 9, protect food from insects, rodents, and other animals. Number 10, ensure that the school clinic is operational. Number 11, ensure that facilities related to canteen operation be strictly enforced. And number 12, store dangerous chemicals out of children's reach. What to do during food poisoning? First, do not panic. Second, increase fluid intake to prevent dehydration, but if not tolerated orally, may be brought to the hospital for intravenous fluid treatment. Number 3, induce vomiting. Number 4, seek medical assistance in case of complication that may result to hepatitis, typhoid fever, diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, or amoebiasis. What to do during food poisoning? First, do not panic. Second, increase fluid intake to prevent dehydration, but if not tolerated orally, may be brought to the hospital for intravenous fluid treatment. Number 3, induce vomiting. Number 4, seek medical assistance in case of complication that may result to hepatitis, typhoid fever, diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, or amoebiasis. Rehabilitation phase. Number 1, encourage regular vendors selling outside the school to observe proper food handling and preparation. Number 2, authorize guards to station outside the school to check and remind street vendors to cover the prepared food. Number 3, require the students to bring their own eating utensils such as plates, spoon, and forks and glasses when they buy street foods. Number 4, have regular checking by authorized sanitary inspectors of facilities and food handlers in the school canteen. Another environmental hazard is the red tide. It refers to the discoloration of water bodies due to the presence of an extremely enormous amount of bloom of a group called dinoflagellates, which are toxic and responsible for the paralytic shellfish poisoning. Preparedness and mitigation for red tide. First, disseminate red tide information, symptoms, and progression. Second, keep track of media information regarding red tide. And third, avoid ingestion of fish, shellfish, mollusks, and crabs during red tide season. What to do during red tide? First, monitor progression of symptoms and seek medical advice. Second, avoid or refrain from eating seafood. Another environmental hazard is the pollution. This is caused by pollutants thrown into the ocean like seaweeds, marine litters, spills, fertilizers, pesticides from irrigation, and others. Preparedness and mitigation for pollution. Number 1, educate people on the proper disposal of waste. Number 2, initiate mass cleaning of seashore. Number 3, implement marine environmental law. What to do during pollution? First, clean up coastal areas. Second, boil water for consumption. And third, provide warning signs or posters in affected areas. A time to remember. This is Maylene Huliganga. Thank you for watching.